Good afternoon. It is a Tuesday on the crossover. It's Ryan in Sacktown. How's everybody doing today? It is a rainy one here in Sacramento, and it was a rainy one last night in Utah. When I say rainy, I mean shooting threes last night. Holy moly. The Kings just the tale of two teams, right? They could not get on track. And by the way, this is the crossover. Thank you so much for joining me. This is a new thing we're going to be doing every day. Time might switch around now and again, depending on guests. But super happy to have you here. But yeah, last night the Kings take the L in Utah. It was the tale of two halves, right? The Kings came out and just stunk the place up. 19 points in the first quarter. Gave up over 40 to the Jazz in the first quarter. Mind you, the Jazz were sitting out most of their star players. Marketing out. Sexton out. It was crazy. Jordan Clarkson out. So the Jazz, they came to play. And what about Walker Kessler? Did we not talk about Walker Kessler leading up to this game? He was legit, and he held Sabonis to 11 points. There was a lot that the Utah Jazz did to focus on Sabonis last night, which I don't think it's anything that's going to be consistent. I don't think it's something teams will, try to use as a blueprint to stop Sabonis. But the way they defended him was interesting indeed. I mean, think about this. The Kings, the best offense in NBA history, according to offensive rating. Okay. The Kings shoot the lights out most every night. We know they like to run and gun. They love the three ball. So the one defense that you would think would not be effective nor be a good idea to run on the Kings would be the zone defense, right? 2-3 zone, because you can shoot a team out of the zone, and that's what the Kings can do easily, or you would think the Kings would be able to do easily. And guess what? Utah threw it at him last night. And the reason they threw that zone at him was because they did not want Sabonis to beat them. So anytime Sabonis got that ball, especially in the post, if he was in the post area, they were collapsing on him. At times, he would have three guys on him, and that's what his zone defense does. And that causes Sabonis to have to make quick decisions. And in that first half, I think it kind of got him a little bit, I don't want to say shaken, but he was definitely not in his normal game, normal zone. And you saw that. And the Kings weren't ready to attack that zone. And they made adjustments in the second half, and they began shooting the ball better, significantly better. But it was just too little, too late. But the one thing we've seen, Toronto did this to Domas. There's been a couple other teams that have done it. When they drop into a zone defense or they double Domas and make him make a quick decision, that has caused struggles. When the Kings move too fast in the half court on offense, sometimes mistakes are made. Granted, the Kings only had 6 turnovers last night. So that's a positive. You look at the box score, and there was a lot of positive in the box. It looked like a Kings win. They had almost 30 assists. They only turned it over 6 times. They had over 40 rebounds. Keegan Murray, he actually rebounded really well last night. Fox, what are you going to say about him? 37 points. But it was one of those games. And you know what, Kings fans? 3-1 on a road trip. Take it every single day of the week. I know we want to get greedy. I know that, you would have liked to see 4-0, but I thought, and I was on record with Grant, that the Kings, this would be the game that tripped the Kings up, the Utah game. Because Utah, for whatever reason, matches up well with the Kings. They do. So it happened. We'll see Utah again in about a week. And I'm guessing Marketing will be back by then. And I would expect a very, very competitive game. But nonetheless, the Kings are still on a roll, and they've got Boston in town tonight. Boston, who is rested, by the way. They have been here in Sacramento getting a day or two of rest, waiting on the Kings. So I know Boston has struggled as of late. They've struggled mightily, actually. But this is still the Boston freaking Celtics. And as you saw when Milwaukee rolled into town, the Eastern Conference is just a different beast. It's a different style of basketball, and the Celtics are near the top of that conference, despite their struggles. And it's going to be a measuring stick game for the Kings. Even if the Kings don't win this game, but they play well, that's okay. That is literally okay. The Kings have built up enough of a cushion to where they will be the 2 or the 3 seed. Memphis won last night. We lost, which means we dropped to the 3. But this Boston matchup, going back to it tonight, the Kings are going to have to bring it. And the starters, they played heavy minutes last night. And traditionally, the Kings do not play well coming off of a road trip, first game home. Usually don't play well. And I don't know what they'll do tonight. I don't. I think they're past that point now in terms of fatigue, in terms of, um, struggling when they're coming off the road. But at the same time, they have been prone the last few games to slow starts, with the exception of the Washington game. And when you play a team like the Celtics, you cannot have a slow start. I can promise you that 20-point lead that Utah had last night in the first half would be equal to a 40-point lead against Boston, just because of the style of basketball Boston plays and how good they are. I mean, you have multiple all-stars on that team. You have champions on that team. So the Kings cannot get out to a slow start whatsoever. So anyways, enough about the Kings. We talked yesterday a little bit about Rick Pitino. Rick Pitino, officially now the coach at St. John's. He moves on from Iona. Yeah, I don't know if you guys watched the Rome show today, but there was some good stuff there. V in the Fee, he had one. He had kind of like it was a Geoff and Lincolnish kind of tweet, but we all knew which direction we wanted to go with that. And I actually had one locked and loaded. I was on hold for about the last 40 minutes or so of the show. And I had a good little song. I wasn't going to go on as Ryan in Sacktown. I was going on as somebody else. And it wasn't a clone. It was not a clone. But I had a little song lined up, and it would have been gold. I already told Horse this. It would have been gold. Tom thought it was really good, too. And Wells, who is responsible for that beautiful Ryan and Sacktown logo, he was going to get a little shot in that one as well. So unfortunately, it did not happen, but there will be another day for that. So, but the whole thing about Pitino, I mean, he's got his baggage, the co-ed stuff. Well, not co-ed stuff, but the whole restaurant thing. You can look that up. I'm not going to go deep into that, but yes, my song revolved around that, by the way. But yeah, we'll see. He's 70 years old, man. 70 years old. I just, that's a grind. The college game, what people don't understand is if you are a college coach and you really don't have an off season, let's just put it that way, because not only are you coaching during the season, you're recruiting. So, if you play, so for instance, when I was at San Diego State, we played Wednesdays and Saturdays. Um, and then sometimes an occasional Monday if we were going to be on ESPN. We would be the late game ESPN, like 9 o'clock at night. But in between games, coaches are out recruiting. When you go on road trips, because when I was there, the road trips were put together so you were playing schools close together. So it'd always be like a 2-game trip. So we do Colorado State, Wyoming. That would be a swing. Vegas was its own. You would do New Mexico, BYU usually. So yeah. Anyways, so if you're looking at players or the coaches are looking at players in those areas, they will be out recruiting too while you're on the road trip. But then even when you're at home, like if you're in between games, commonly coaches are out the door recruiting, and you have recruits coming to campus to see a game, and they're around the team, and the team shows them around and whatnot. But then once the off season hits, those coaches are on the road like 24/7. Maybe there's a little bit of a break after National Signing Day, like literally a breath, like the day between WrestleMania and Monday Night Raw, the next night, and then it's to recruiting for the next year. So they're back on the road, recruiting. Now I know things have changed a little bit with the transfer portal, but I bring this up because Rick Pitino, 70 years old. That's tough. I mean, when I was at SDSU, Coach Fisher, he was older for a head coach. I mean, obviously he had been around for a while, won a national championship with Michigan, rebuilt the San Diego State program, completely rebuilt it. When I was there, it was not what it is today, but it was on its way to that. That was when they were recruiting Kawhi and such. So it was tough for him. I know it was tough, and they have succession plans, right? And his was Coach Dutcher, Brian Dutcher, who's now the head coach there. But what I'm saying is, if you're older, it's going to be harder on your body to be doing that, and there are going to be very, very high expectations for Rick Pitino to get big recruits. And I guess there's a part of me too that thinks players want to play for Rick Pitino anymore. He's kind of been out of the limelight for a while. I mean, a lot of people, there was people calling the Rome show today from Kentucky, and kind of in that, Pitino, Calipari region, saying they would do anything to have Pitino back. He's a great coach. Well, was he a great coach, or is he right now? He's been at a smaller school. You really haven't heard a ton from them. Really what it is it was him informally paying his dues and showing that he could stay out of trouble while running a program before he got another shot at a big program. And arguably St. John's, are they the huge program? I mean, sure, I guess. They're not a blue blood. They're a bigger program than what he was coaching at. But it's I just don't see it. It's a reach. It's going to revitalize the boosters, that's for sure. Because the name Rick Pitino comes with, a lot of hoo-ha, rah, yada, 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 which you see because they're getting run. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens with Pitino. He says he wants to coach till he's 80. I don't see it. I don't. I really don't. But he had the Louisville machine behind him when he was there. And that was when Louisville was winning championships and getting the 5-star recruits. The St. John's machine is not the Louisville machine. So it's going to be interesting to see who he's able to recruit. And even if, honestly, these kids know who he is. I mean, he's been out of it for a while. So that will be fun. We can obviously have some fun in the chat. Remember, The crossover is open to everybody. Part of the reason that I call it the crossover is you guys can come on the show. We can take questions, we can debate, we can talk. Give me your thoughts. Make it your show. But do not ruin this for me. Do not violate any terms of YouTube. No nudity, no cursing. Be decent, please. Be dressed decently. No politics, none of that stuff. Just other than that, have fun. So, anyways, well, we're getting ready for the Sweet 16. Sweet 16's rolling around pretty quick. Kicks off on Thursday. I know we talked the one shining clone bracket. We ran that down yesterday. And I was on Grant's If You Don't Like That show, and he pledged a t-shirt. So the winner of One Shining Clone gets a Grant Napier t-shirt. So that'll be pretty cool for whoever wins. But we're talking brackets, and some people are rolling. I mean, again, the people that pick teams just based off of colors, mascots, throwing a dart at the wall, those are the ones that do well, especially if they don't know anything about basketball, because there are so many upsets. And we talked upsets yesterday and why I think there are so many of them. But the reason I bring this up is, I should say, probably one of the best sports weekends of the year, undeniably. You've got basketball, wall to wall, NCAA basketball, and most of the games are close too. That's what makes it so fun, right? The games are tight. It's college. There's a lot of passion. You got all the students there, and it's just a blast to watch. It doesn't get stale. So usually I am glued to the TV from Thursday to Sunday, like glued. And then on top of that, we've got Kings basketball. We've got other stuff going. Sports wise, you've got golf. You've got the World Baseball Classic. I mean, this is a good time of year for sports. Masters is getting ready to kick off. But anyways, I bring that up because my son, he's in school. He's in second grade. And we're working on his reading, and we want to make sure that we are keeping him a step ahead. And he has different landmarks that he hits, and once he hits a landmark with the education that he's doing or the stuff he does on top of being at school, he gets a reward. And the reward that he wanted to have a tea party. And thinking, okay, we could have a tea party. We'll set up, stuff around the house. We'll buy some tea. We'll get some, like scones or whatever. No, he wanted to have a formal tea party, high tea. Have you guys ever heard of high tea? High tea. So my wife, when she went to New York, it was probably 10 years ago. Maybe not 10, probably like 8 years ago. Not that it matters. Her and her girlfriend did high tea at the Ritz-Carlton, and I had no idea what it was. And it was one of those things that I'm like, why would you do that? Like, you go dress up, you wear a fancy hat, to drink tea and eat pastries. Like, just go to Starbucks. Like, and it was one of those things I said I wouldn't do. I have no interest in doing it, but it's what my son wanted to do. So we're like, all right, well, the only reservation they had was for Friday at 12:30 in the afternoon, the Friday of March Madness. And I'm like, oh my gosh, because it was spring break for my son. Like, here we go. Here we go. I'm like, how do they have flat screens there? Can I order wings there? Is like high tea just like part of the menu and they've got another menu? And there was no getting out of it. My wife would not let me get out of it. So here, I will set the scene for you. So I get dragged in. I don't want to say dragged in, not stabbed and dragged, as they would say on the Rome show. But I get dragged in, and shout out to the Hidden Tea Room in Lodi. They were fabulous. And this is what I see, right? You've got this bright white room. You've got all these older ladies that look like they just came from the Kentucky Derby, wearing these crazy hats, and I am just feeling so out of place. And like everything is so damn formal too. Like you have to use your fork a certain way, you have to use a certain plate for this biscuit, you have to use a knife for this. You get what I'm saying. And so it was just kind of like a kind of uptight, not my style, not my groove, but my son loving it, eating it up, right? He was so happy to be there. And that's what it's all about. It's all about him. So, anyways, it's pretty quiet in that room. And everybody is like, again, like manners, incredibly like formal. Sit up in your chair, napkin tucked in properly, and there was no way I was going to be able to sneak my phone onto a March Madness game. And I'm like kind of grinding my teeth there, like trying to figure out scores. Obviously, no TVs. We were by far the youngest people there. But anyway, so I fast forward to this. So yeah, that's my little guy in the background. Yeah. So here's my tea set. Everybody gets your own like fancy tea thing. I had apricot tea. Apricot tea. We'll come back to that. My wife had like black tea and Liam had hot chocolate. So that's not even a tea party. It's a hot chocolate party. Um, so anyways, they bring out your tea, then they bring out the scones, which were really good. And then you order off of their, they have different meals that you can order on top of that. So this was the tower that came out for me. This was just my tower. My son had his own little one. My wife had hers. And like everything's so freaking mini. But it was so good. I couldn't believe it. I was shocked. Like some of the stuff, so basic, but so good. The tea, amazing. Like I'm sitting here and I'm thinking to myself, do I like high tea now? Like, am I that guy? Like, there's certain things, right? Like, I'm one of those dudes. I'm cool for a pedicure. You got to take care of your feet. Manicure, no go. I can cut my own nails. I don't need to have them, all polished up and everything. Pedicure, all day, man. Dip my feet in that wax, massage the calves. Let's go. But high tea, like I'm gonna be that guy, high tea. And so I kind of fought with myself for a couple days, and I'm like, is that something that I really want to do again? And that little voice in the back of my head is like, Ryan, high tea. Let's do high tea again. And I'm like, no, this is going to go away. Like, this has to go away. And then, no, today, Ryan, maybe you can go find that tea at the store. Maybe you could find something similar to what they were giving you, and you could do it at home. Like if you can get that tea. Damn it, I like high tea. I don't know what to say. It completely turned my perception around of something like that. And it is something that I would have never done in a million years, if not for my son. And my wife loved it. My son loved it. And damn it, I think I loved it more than them. So shout out to the Hidden Tea Room in Lodi. The owner was great. She treated Liam like a complete adult and very professional. Like it was good, but I can't believe I'm that guy. So go ahead, guys, take your runs at me. I will own it. I am high tea guy. I can't wait for the next time we go to high tea. But the thing is, it's kind of expensive for what you get, but I still want to do it. Like I still want to go back. I want to have the exact same thing. Like and I thought too, I'm like, would I get that to go? They don't do to go, by the way. But is it something I would order to go? I wouldn't. There's a part of me that wants that experience again. There's something to having your own little teapot right there with the tea that you like, that you get to choose. It's not the table's tea, it's your tea. There's something about having the fresh scones. They come right out of the oven. I mean, they're just like these little scones, and they've got this butter that they're churning right there in front of you. They've got lemon curd, homemade jams. I don't know. I'm telling you though, if you'd never done it, go try it. Go try it. So yeah, I had to admit to my wife. Literally, we were getting ready to have a little bit of lunch, and I said, "You know what? I'm high tea guy. I like it. I love it. When can we go again? Let's do it." Like, so yeah, and no, I would not order to go. I want to be there. I want that stuff fresh, right out of the oven. Let's go. So let me know if you guys have ever done high tea. That was definitely something new for us, indeed. So, anyways, high tea, high tea, high tea. So yeah, that is my story for the day. By the way, housekeeping. Tonight we are back with Kings coverage. We are your Kings game day destination, not here, but on Grant's channel. If you don't like that, I will have the pregame show kicking off at 6:30 tonight, lead you up to tip off, and then Grant will have halftime and post game coverage. Can't wait for that. Come check us out. Not sure if you guys saw last night, but it was really cool. Grant started a new segment where he's going to be posting pictures of fans wearing their Sacramento gear from wherever you are. Because if you don't know, we have viewers, or I should say, Grant has viewers that are all over the world. We've got Eduardo in Chile. We've got Bula. We have so many people. We got a dude in Australia. We've got the Philippines. So one of Grant's friends was actually in the Philippines, or not the Philippines. Was he? No, he was in Vietnam. Excuse me. And he saw four guys on the beach, all in Kings jerseys. And he's like, "Wait a minute, like, are you guys from Sacramento?" And the guys are like, "Oh yeah." And so they all start talking because Grant's friends from Sacramento, and they end up taking a picture together. And so he sent the picture to Grant, and so Grant put the picture up last night. It was really cool. So we're going to continue with that segment on the show. I think that's going to be a really, really fun thing. And, we'll have some fun with them too. So like last night with the picture, I had to get on the guys. It was a perfect picture. But these guys are on this beautiful beach. They've got the ocean behind them, and they have tennis shoes on. Get your feet in the sand, boys. Get your feet in the sand. So we might poke a little fun at your pictures. But anyways, yeah, Kings again tonight. They are back in action with Boston. We're not going to do too much more Kings coverage right now because that's what the other show is for. I do want to bring up one thing, though, before we cut the King stuff off from last night. Did you notice what happened with Terrence Davis? Anybody? Anybody? So Terrence came in. It was late first quarter, I want to say. And it's when the Kings were doing awful, just terrible. And he was not playing good whatsoever. He looked like he had two left feet, like no joke, two left feet. And I don't know what it was. And you remember Terrence, he had not been playing well. Actually, I take that back. Had not been playing at all. Comes in a couple of games ago, has like 15 points in the first half, 16 points. And so now, fast forward to last night, comes in because Herder is out. And just like I said, two left feet, making bad decisions, turning the ball over, taking bad shots. Mike Brown put in Delhi. He benched Davis for Delhi. And Davis did not see the court again. So I don't know what that means for Davis going forward in his minutes. What I do know is Mike Brown is looking to solidify that rotation for the playoffs to know exactly who he's going to go to. So we'll see if Terrence gets another chance. But that was not good. That was not good. And I'll tell you what else was not good. Trey Lyles. I'll get into this in the pregame show, but I know he was playing hurt or he's dealing with a shoulder injury. But you absolutely you can't be the guy that gets in Brooke Lopez's face, stands up for the damn team, gets a 1-game suspension, and then in Utah get dunked on, posterized, like teabagged twice. Sorry, I said teabagged, high T, get it? Posterized twice last night. That's unacceptable. And both times he could have both times he could have taken a charge. That's exactly what he should have done, but he didn't do it. But he didn't even try to block the shot. It was just arms up. That's it. Even if he had his arms up on one of them. So that was awful. Awful, awful, awful. Those are the little things that are going to get you in Mike Brown's doghouse. 100%. Those are the little things that are going to get you in the fans' doghouse too. Because the fans, we want to see the Kings win, but we want to see effort. If you lose and you play with effort, all good for most fans here in Sacramento. All good. But when it's like that, and the game was already downhill at that point, the game was a 20-point lead for the Jazz, and you just let that happen. Isn't that the time you're supposed to try even harder? So I thought that was garbage. So I'm going to give him a pass because I don't know if the injury had something to do with it, but the bottom line is if you are hurt to that point where you're not going to be able to try to make a basketball play, or you are concerned about making a regular basketball play, then you shouldn't be playing. You shouldn't. So that's what I have to say about that. So anyways, this is the crossover. Thanks again for joining me. I'm Ryan in Sacktown. We are still waiting on our first person to join the show. Nobody out there wants to join the show? The link is in my Twitter. All you got to do is click on it, set up an account on Restream, and guess what? You'll pop up right here with me. We can talk whatever you want. Keep it clean. Follow YouTube guidelines. But we can have a good time. And that's what we're looking to do. So anyways, we've got again the One Shining Clone contest, and shout out again to Liz in Falls City for setting One Shining Clone up. That was really, really cool of her. And we're having a good time with that. Trash talk is always legendary. But it's going to be interesting what happens once play picks up again Friday and Friday through Sunday. I know I am certainly looking forward to that. So we will keep track of that. Again, Kings back tonight. Pregame starts at 6:30. Pregame 6:30. And then we have postgame, halftime with Grant, and we'll break it all down for you. Again, thank you. Please subscribe. Please like my channel, Grant's channel. I'm going to be coming on here doing the crossover on a daily. The time may fluctuate because I have guests lined up. We are actually going to have some guests that I am really excited about. Guests that you will recognize. And it's going to be fun. I'm going to have some clones on here. That'll be fun. So yeah, it's gonna be a really good time, and you guys, I want this to be a fun, interactive show. So that is the plan, and we're just starting to walk. We got to walk before we can run, but it has been great so far. So, all right, I am going to get ready and start preparing for the pregame show. Join me on If You Don't Like That, King's pregame show at 6:30. Don't forget Grant's Listen app show. I believe that's at 4 p.m. today on Listen app. And then coverage all night long on If You Don't Like That. So for Ryno in Sacktown, this has been the crossover. I will see you all